Welcome to Facebook Live, and thank you for joining. Appreciate you joining us on Saturday morning. And just to address some of the commentary on the timing of the session, we were expecting the announcement from government on alert levels, and we decided to hold the Facebook Live session today on the basis that we'd have some more information from where we sit in terms of alert levels. That didn't happen yesterday, but we'll be better informed on Monday about the alert levels 3 and 2 and what's happening in the greater Auckland region and the rest of the country. Anyway, it's great to see so many participants watching live, and clearly the benefits of the platform of Facebook Live is you can watch it at a time that suits you. So flexibility is a key. Can I also say, on a sadder note, really sad to see the industry lose Tony Prendergast, a legend of New Zealand thoroughbred racing. And I just want to say thank you. We're thinking of the family. To you, Len, thank you for allowing the live stream of Tony's funeral this week. And you're very much, and have been for a long period of time, part of the New Zealand thoroughbred racing family. And our thoughts are with you and the family, Len. Tony, a legend of New Zealand thoroughbred racing. So since our last Facebook session, we've been dealing with a range of issues. Clearly, the one that's created some of what I call disruption is the phase 2 of COVID restrictions. I appreciate that it hasn't been easy for many of our participants, but the positive is we're continuing to race. And we've fielded many calls on how do we move our participants across different alert levels. Clearly, we know more on Monday as to what that looks like in the future. Thank you for all participants who are abiding by the rules. We have made representation. NZTR has made representation to the government, and we're making further representations to the government through the Ministry of Primary Industry, the MPI, and we'll keep you posted on the status of that application. On other updates, the Cambridge synthetic track, we're back on track with the finalising of this important project, and we're targeting a late November, early December for the track to be ready for training. So that's an important piece of infrastructure. As we've said on the months previous, it's an opportunity to give our grass tracks a rest. It allows a synthetic track in a central part of our horse population. Cambridge is the largest training centre in Australasia, does an amazing job and deserves this asset to support the trainers and owners for the future. Sectional times, an initiative that we've seen a bit play out here. Auckland have done a great job in the past of having sectional timing. We've also had a contract with Form Pro to provide the last 600 data points. Well, what we've decided is NZTR will deliver sectional times in partnership with Form Pro, commencing the 1st of September post-race, which is really important. And we'll have the data, the sectional timing points at the 200, the 400, the 600, and the 800 metre mark, plus the first 400. That will be done after the races and posted into our Raceform, posted onto our website. And it's a terrific initiative for punters, for owners and trainers to see the important sectional time data points at each of those periods in the race. Now, there's been lots of questions around programming. And we've been fielding lots of calls around what's working, what's not working. And I'll address 2 questions raised by Raywin Armstrong and Brent Cooper. Our programming groups have been meeting over the last week to discuss what the program looks like between October and into the new year. And we are looking to introduce a rating 74 grade. We've not locked in a date, but we may look to backdate that to Saturday, the 17th of September. So we have listened. We are taking advice from the regional programming groups who are represented with clubs and trainers, but we'll confirm all that later next week. Clearly, the open entry races have received some criticism, and this is acknowledged that it has caused some disruption. But the positive out of this initiative is field sizes have been strong. Average field sizes have been strong. More horses have gained to start, and horses have been winning outside their handicap. And importantly, turnovers have remained very strong. So we simply can't continue to have the situation we had previously, that's pre-COVID, where we had an increasing number of races with less than 8 starters. That's not good for wagering turnover. and obviously any wagering turnover drives improved returns for the industry. So there is a balance there. We appreciate that. We're trying to find the balance, and hopefully from the meetings we've had with our programming chairs, that we'll get a better balance into that. So look forward to see some rating 74 grade races programmed in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully by the middle of September we can have that moving forward for people that have raised that issue. But thanks for your feedback. It's all been done respectfully, and it's great to see we've got engagement from our clubs and our trainers. A couple of reminders. Clearly, if there are viewers online that are from clubs and club committees, we have introduced a series of club awards for this year that will be made. The nominations are out, the forms are out, and we'll make those decisions, and those awards will be presented at the AGM. So it's a big reminder. If there are committee members or club managers listening online today, please get your forms in. It's an opportunity to recognise the great job that clubs do, whether you're a club that runs 20 meetings down to a club that runs 1 meeting a year, or a club that might race at another venue. It's really important that you all play an important role, and thank you. And it's a way of NZTR recognising the leaders in clubland, and we're looking forward to receiving many nominations. Great to see Raceform back in circulation. I've got my copy here. Lots of information in relation to tips and fields and form, and welcome to Liz Whelan, who is the new editor. Great to have her on board, and she's part of the Raceform team. And we've also been able to work together with the team at Raceform, which is really important. And in collaboration with Raceform, we've now got a destination on our website under loveracing.nz, where you can see all the fields and the form, the race replays, tips of the week. So it's a demonstration that by doing things in partnership, we can become stronger. We can get more people with more eyeballs watching New Zealand thoroughbred racing. So that's really important. We can't do everything on our own, so that partnership's vitally important. We want to see Raceform sold in more retail outlets, more TABs, more news agencies, more outlets right across New Zealand, and we're going to help play a role in providing more data online to inform the punter and the owner and the trainer. Also put in your diary, the 11th of October is the New Zealand Thoroughbred Racing Horse of the Year Awards. This year we're moving to Claudelands in Hamilton. Tickets are on sale now, so go to loveracing.nz so you can purchase your ticket. Other initiatives we are progressing is the development, based on lots of feedback from our trainers, on a track rider accreditation program, and that's something we're going to talk to the Trainers Association at their AGM, their national meeting during September, and we also finalising an agreement with Racing Australia to secure a licence to use the Racing Australia management platform. We're in an era where we need to share, we need to partner. We can't build everything ourselves. It's a scale issue, and we're really supportive and interested in developing out a licence arrangement with Racing Australia. The great thing about working together with Australia is Australia have looked at our systems and have learned lots of things on what we do in New Zealand, and we're learning from Australia. So by putting the collective efforts of both racing jurisdictions together, I believe we'll build a stronger industry in New Zealand. Another important aspect of that eventuated out of the new legislation was the creation of Racing New Zealand, and that forum we officially met. It's a forum for the three codes to come together and talk about things of common interest. So the things that are on the agenda at the moment are developing race dates for 2021 and 22. We're seeking a greater engagement with NZTR. We're talking about venue planning across three codes, and we were advocating for a process to start immediately on a partnering arrangement with an international wagering operator. You're well aware, it's no secret, NZTR believe the long-term future is about partnership. We've talked about partnerships, and we believe it's vitally important that we move now. The clear message from the government is the industry now has a framework to grow and develop. It's over to the industry to make this happen. The government's done its job. It's now time for the industry to step up and make those decisions, put the processes in place, and make the right decisions for the industry longer term. During the week, we also we've partnered up with Boys Get Paid, which is fantastic. they're doing great jobs in, bringing personalities to life, talking about what great racing we've got in New Zealand. We've also developed a partnership with a group called SEN in Australia. It's a key market for wagering revenue. We've partnered with SEN for 6 months. It's a sports and radio digital network to share content. We'll see the introduction of a 30-minute radio program that'll be available in the Australian market. And that's going to be hosted by Andrew Castles with special guests from trainers and other industry participants. So supporting the Boys Get Paid initiative in Australia, in New Zealand, looking at what we can do with SEN in Australia. And we are going to progress and advocate for other programs. I know lots of questions. When I go onto a racetrack, the first question I get asked is, what are we doing about radio? Well, the fact is, the platform that we had under the tab model was too expensive. And I acknowledge that and accept that. We need to find new ways of working. So one of the aspects, I just encourage you, if you still can't, you can listen to the retail audio from Trackside. Download the Rover app. I've downloaded it. It's simple. It's easy. You can stream it through your car. You can stream it through your phone. You can stream it through your laptop. And it's a great service for our punters, for our trainers, jockeys, owners, breeders, stud masters, and track riders. Let's get into a few questions that we've received during the week. So, Zach, good question, Zach. Zach has asked a couple of questions about OnCourse Presenters, interviewing jockeys, trainers, and track staff. What we have done, NZTAB have said there are 20 opportunities where we'll provide presenters on racetracks across the 3 codes. 3 codes have come to an agreement that share of presenters will be 14 to thoroughbreds, 4 to harness, 2 to dogs. So we're locking that in, and we'll see that roll out through the Hawke's Bay Carnival. But importantly, we've also got Love Racing out there generating content, which is really important. The other one for me is also we do want to build other solutions with Trackside and Tab New Zealand. We understand it's a cost issue, so we've got to build cost-effective solutions. So over the coming months, as we meet with as Tab New Zealand and Racing New Zealand meet together, we'll build out we've got some ideas that we're going to share with Tab New Zealand. Also, Zach's asked, under level 2, will we continue another couple of months with owners not being allowed on track? It's been a really good discussion with our clubs. And every club's a bit different here, Zach. Every club just can't set up separate areas for different groups of people. So once we get a guide on Monday where our alert levels sit, we'll then engage with our clubs on what is possible in getting owners back on track and how do we manage potentially that restriction of 100 people in defined areas. And we want to make sure that we keep our industry safe. We want to make sure that we do the right thing that keeps racing going. So they're the 2 principles. But if we can find a way with our clubs, we'll certainly provide you updates on that over the next week. Graham Sopper from Gore. Graham's asked some questions around Raceform and the publication, the timing, and getting it out earlier, and why do thoroughbreds compared to harness racing? Why can't we do our nominations, our withdrawals, and our riders earlier? There is a balance there, and I know from a national perspective, from trainers, we're trying to get a balance between that and meeting our media deadlines. But we do understand, Graham, you're a customer, and much of the feedback we get from customers in this changing landscape of wagering, not only in New Zealand but across Australia, where we do have punters wanting to place their bets early, and we do see wagering operators putting up markets early. So we have to respond to that. So, Graham, I understand the issue. We're in continuing engagement based on feedback from wagering operators, not only in New Zealand but in Australia. The earlier we can get in the market, the more focus we can get punters on New Zealand racing. So it's a good question. It's a discussion it's been listed as an agenda item for the National Trainers Association meeting in September. So we'll come back to you after we've had those discussions. Christine Forster has asked a couple of questions. Why wouldn't NZTR advocate for me to make sure me as a trainer can cross those borders, level 3 into level 2? Well, I think I've explained we did make representation to the Racing Minister, and we have made further representations to MPI to ensure that racing continues, but also can we get people moving, participants moving out of level 3 and level 2. Thus far, the answer's been no, as it has been for many other industries. So we're not alone in this. The good thing is we're racing. Christine, we are trying our best, and when it becomes available, we'll provide you more information. Racing. What are we doing in Auckland? Will we be racing in the Auckland region? Hopefully, when we get this advice on Monday, we'll be able to provide some guidance as to when we can go back racing at Avondale and Ellerslie. One of the issues we're working through at the moment, we know our jockeys have relocated to the Waikato region. So at the moment, we'd have a paucity of jockeys in the Auckland region. So we're going to work through how do we fix a bubble? How do we fix a system if these COVID levels remain in place? David Carey, can you please explain why the committee were on track at Taupo while owners were not? Well, simply put, the Taupo committee have done a fantastic job, and it does vary from club to club and committee to committee. But those Taupo committee members were working. They were providing an essential service for the race meeting. Now, some clubs decide committee members don't need to come because we've got staff to undertake those essential services. But Taupo, the committee, do a great job. They were all working on the day, and that's why they were there. Question from Potsy and Shirlene Wright. We should probably ask why we cannot see videos of the Rangiora trials. Yes, we did have a technical glitch on getting those trial videos up on the day of the trial meeting. But as a rule, trial replays are up on the same day. So from time to time, we do have technical issues, but we've got a KPI to meet 100%, and we're chasing that as hard as we can. Brent Cooper, I know you asked a question earlier about the additional races in the August-September period. I hope I've been able to answer that inclusion of that ratings programming, the updated programming to you earlier in the chat. Couple of other questions that we've had from Raywin Armstrong. There has been a proposal, Raywin, which you are correct. Good question about a 1% of stakes being used for welfare. When does this come in? Well, we said this is a proposal at this stage. We will take to our clubs and our stakeholder groups at the AGM a proposal. But we do need investment. We do some things now, but we need greater investment in welfare. It is part of our social licence to make sure every horse has a home after racing. We need to make sure we can trace the ownership from foaling to when the horse exits racing. So all those initiatives, whether it's education programs, rehoming initiatives, traceability initiatives, yes, I'm hoping that by the 1st of February next year, we'll have that in place with a clear plan that we communicate to the industry on welfare initiatives. Vitally important, a key cornerstone as our integrity model is. Greg Lindsay asks why about the new rule about the foal notification at 30 days. It's basically for traceability. We've all got an obligation. So the owners of our foals, the owners of our horses, the owners as they track through their racing life, we need to know who's in charge of them, who is the accountable person, and you'll see some communication in the next couple of weeks from NZTR how those new rules will be rolled out. We have been in consultation with the industry stakeholders. That's the trainers, the owners, the breeders, in developing out those rules, and the rubber's now starting to hit the road, which is really important welfare initiative. Couple of others. Mark Brooks, when is programming coming back to normal? Well, as I said, Mark, those issues are currently being debated by the programming groups. Importantly, we need to get the balance and listen to our participants. And on the other hand, we need to keep average field sizes up. Really important for wagering. Can't emphasise enough what I said earlier. We had an increasing number of races with less than 8 starters, and that's not good for wagering. Richard Wright, we should have free-to-air TV coverage. Excuse me. Yes, I agree with you, Richard. Any free-to-air coverage that we may be able to get hold of will come at a cost. So we are working with Tab NZ We were working with them prior to COVID. It's probably dropped off the priority list at this point because there's a number of other issues and just the reshaping and the ramp up of racing that's taken our attention away from that. But it's on the agenda. It'll move up the priority list over the next couple of months. Pauline, when will we have 2 meetings a week and normal rating races? Once again, same question. Once we hit September, October, we will get back to some normality. Clearly, we have to monitor the alert levels between the Auckland region we've got at the moment, level 3 into level 2. So over the coming weeks, we'll provide further information around programming, placement of race meetings. But these are good questions. They're questions that we're working through on a daily basis at NZTR, and hopefully that'll become clearer to our participants. And thanks for raising the question, Pauline. Paul Harris, is it time we had a across-the-board ratings and accommodate? So all these questions are around programming and ratings races. I'm going to leave that to the experts. And the experts are our programming chairs and our trainer groups that will come up with a solution. But once again, it's a balance. I've spent 35 years in racing, and the reality is we can't satisfy everybody. What we've got to do is find the balance. And we acknowledge that the balance probably needs to move a bit, and that's why we're relying on good advice from our programming chairs, which includes club reps, NZTR reps, and reps from our trainers, because everyone pushes and pulls in different directions on what they want. We'll find the balance, and we'll have some new arrangements for you mid-September, but certainly into the last quarter of this year, we'll see some correction on that. Now, there's a bit of an update here that's just come to hand. At Matamata, we've snapped. Okay, so it's just news to me. So the clip-on gates at Matamata, there's a cable snapped and we're unable to use them. Therefore, we'll have starting limits. We'll be back to 14, and this is going to impact upon 8 horses which have had to be scratched. Now, I haven't got the detail, but that's just news to hand. That's disappointing, but there's been some technical issue arise. Starting limits today at Matamata, so this is fast-breaking news. Starting limits back to 14. It impacts 8 horses. Unfortunately, the owners of those 8 horses, we're going to have to scratch because the clip-on gates will not be functional today. Chris O'Reilly asks, Tally-ho, twinkle-toe. No nom for Jumper of the Year. Trained in Australia, won big races.
No, that's why.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, correct. Because it's trained in Australia, Chris. But as you saw on the website, we've got our New Zealand awards coming up in October. Nominations are out. Get online, book your ticket. I do want to say thank you. It is a challenging time. The participants, I think you've been outstanding. You've done it respectfully. We take over, while we've got lots of queries we get in here, we're taking over 2,500 calls a week across our office. And we try and answer the questions, the requests, the best we can. And we've seen the ramp up of racing. We've seen some really good wagering turnovers. Yes, our tracks have copped a hammering, but we, in that first June period, July, we were restricted on the number of tracks we had. Let's hope the weather's getting better. We'll see the tracks come to hand. We've got some great racing coming up. I really appreciate your patience. Thanks for your support. Thanks for the respect you've shown. And we're just about to go to racing at Matamata, Arapuni, and some great racing out of Australia where we'll see Melody Bell and the Bostonian and then the Wink Stakes. Great day ahead. Sit back and enjoy it. I know you can't get to the races, but thanks for your support, and we'll talk to you soon.